Sahana vavatu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvamanusandadhami Bhagavatvishe Bhavatveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rutra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadaihi Gayantiyam Samagaha Dhyanavastita tatkatena manasa Pashyantiyam yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Okay, so we're going to do verses number 27 onwards. So might as well, let's do 5 verses 27 onwards. We'll chant those and then we will do at least 3 verses today. So number 27 of the 3rd chapter, page 32 if you have this book. So you can just follow after me. Prakrite kriyamanani Prakrite kriyamanani Gunaihi karmani sarvashaha Gunaihi karmani sarvashaha Ahankar vimudhatma Ahankar vimudhatma Kartaham iti manyate Kartaham iti manyate Tattvavittu mahabaho Tattvavittu mahabaho Gunakarma vibhagayo Guna guneshu vartante Iti matva na sajjate Prakriter gunasammudhaha Prakriter gunasammudhaha Sajjante gunakarmasu Sajjante gunakarmasu Tan akritsnavido mandan Tan akritsnavido mandan Kritsnavitna vichalayet Kritsnavinna vichalayet Kritsnavinna vichalayet Kritsnavinna vichalayet Mai sarvani karmani Sarvani karmani Sanyasyadhyatma cetasa Sanyasyadhyatma cetasa Nirashir nirmamo bhutva Nirnashir nirmamo bhutva Yudhyasva vigatajvaraha Ye me matam idam nityam Ye me matam idam nityam Anutishtanti manavaha Anutishtanti manavaha Shraddhavanto nasuyantaha Shraddhavanto nasuyantaha Muchyante temi karmabhihi Muchyante. Okay. So last week we had finished up to verse number 20, the revision of the 3rd chapter. This is what we are doing. up to verse number 26. And there, the topic of the Karma Yoga, the role for it, the utility, the usefulness in our lives was all presented in the Karma Yoga section. So that one, now the Shruti takes a pause and comes up with 3 other verses that departs from the description of the Karma Yoga to give you a kind of an overall picture. And then with verse number 30, it resumes the Karma Yoga section. And so the whole chapter of the Karma Yoga, of course, is based on, the whole chapter is based on the topic of Karma Yoga. But here in the verse number 27, 28 and 29, the Smriti takes a pause and gives you a kind of like an overall picture of what the result of Karma Yoga is and what the overall problem if the Karma Yoga is not followed is. So it gives you a picture of that. So let's start with that. So number 27. Prakritehi kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartante iti matvana sajjate. This is these are the 2 diametrically opposite views that are given. The first is that of a samsari. Samsari means one who is tied up with life, with having a limited view of oneself, the normal, nothing extraordinary, just that's how we are all there to begin with, but continues to be there. And the second one is one who has, while alive, gained a certain sense of freedom. Not a certain sense, complete freedom, in fact, a jnani. Tattvavit, here tattvavit means one who understands what the truth is. And what is the state of that truth? What is the status of that person that knows the truth? And the other one is the samsari. The samsari and asamsari. Both of them are pointed out. So here, perhaps just take stepping back and just giving an idea of what this verse is saying, and then looking at the word meanings of it and so on. So, as we were discussing in the previous class also, that there are really there are 2 things involved in our life, which if these 2 things are not clearly understood, they get mixed up and create problems for me. And those 2 things are the distinction between personality and person. And you have so many examples of this. In fact, in the case of a play, is very much there, where the actor plays a role, and the 2 are inseparable up to a certain point. Excuse me. So what you see is a person, let's say you have a role of a very powerful person, And that powerful person has a powerful body, big body, male, let's say. And then the role exploits that person. It was interesting. I remember listening to a radio broadcast by a British actor whose name I forget. And very famous, I'm not very good with remembering names, but I remember seeing this. I was just driving and I was listening to this radio. And he was saying that I learned the craft from some really good actors. And he says that was very useful to do. So he given an example. He was saying that, for example, supposing you see this movie Godfather. He was referring to it actually. And he says if you look at the movie Godfather, what you will notice is that there are people around this Godfather guy who are scrambling or saying, sir, you know, the guy has come to see you and so on. And this Godfather just sits there like this, not moving. And he says, yes, okay, bring him in. And the other people are all moving and not sure of themselves, scratching their skins and so on and so forth. So he said that I was taught that for really important personality, you have to keep your movement at a minimum. He says, don't appear to be kind of like nervous and so on. So the Godfather just sits there and reviews things. Anyway, I remember this was an interesting thing that he talked about. He says, I see many of the people don't do it. They're not good actors. They're not good, they don't play the roles very well. Because it depends on the kind of role that you're playing. If you're, on the other hand, you're one of the underlings, then you better be moving and appearing anxious and so on. Anyway, so we don't find a distinction. If a role is well made, we don't find a distinction between the person and the role. But there is very different. The role has nothing to do with it. The role may require some fighting and so on, and the person never fights in his life. Or they may require the begging. The fellow has got so much money. So there's no distinction between. There's no problem in distinguishing between the actor and the role. Absolutely not. Here is our issue. We are the actor, not the role. This we do not understand. So for an ajnani, which is number 27, for an ajnani, we get mixed up between the actor and the role. We cannot distinguish between them. For the normal person, we are really not able to distinguish between them. This is the issue. And we need to do it. If we can do it, then life becomes very pleasant. It is that I feel that the problems are my problems. And so the inability to distinguish between person and personality is the root cause of the problems in life. And so here, this is what Gita points out throughout, is nothing peculiar or anything. That really speaking, there are it's an interesting thing. It's not easy to do because Ishvara has made it in a way that this is the final accomplishment in life. And a final accomplishment cannot be trivial. It has to be done right. So as a result of that, what happens is that each one of us are two people. As I said before. So one is that of the person, the actor. And the other one is the personality. So, myself as a limited person, excuse me. Oh, I know what to do. I've got, in fact, Lychee has given me lozenges. I had a cold over the weekend, and so this is I know exactly where it is. Still have it. Yeah, got it. Thank you, Lychee. Ricola. So here Krishna is saying, Lord Krishna is saying that our status, not status, but our conclusion of looking at ourselves as I am the doer and I am the one which is responsible for my doings. The result of it, I'm suffering because of something. So this is what is called karta and bhokta. Karta and bhokta. These are both the same thing. They're both two sides of the same coin. So you are a karta from the past and you are a bhokta in the future. And the present also. Okay? And you ask somebody, tell me about yourself. The person will say, I'm such and such, and I'm doing the following things. How's your life? Well, some problems, this, that, or the other. Karta bhokta, karta bhokta. And I feel this is me. This is who I am. Gita says that's not the case. You are really two people. What you think is a person is really a personality. This is very key. What you take yourself to be a person, because you define your status as a person as a karta bhokta. And it's not as though I'm making things up or that I'm mad and I'm there's something wrong with me. You ask everybody, am I making a mistake? And other people say, no. I'm doing the same thing. Sriram, can you get me a glass of water?
Sure.
Thank you. So, this is the key, is that what I think of myself as a person is really my personality. This is the thing. And the person that I am I don't really see, I don't understand, and I'm not clear about it. The person that I am is Sakshi, what is called as Sakshi, which is looking at the personality. It's just simply looking at the personality. This thing, this split between the two identities. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So this split between these two aspects of myself is very well detailed in a lot of Upanishads. In the Mundaka Upanishad, this is given a lot of reality. Beautiful. Sometimes we have to really look at this distinction. Read the Mundaka Upanishad. It's all over. So, my personality, my status as a person, where I'm a karta, bhokta, sufferer, desirer, all of these things is not my real person. That's not who I am. In the case of an actor who's playing a role, this is not a problem. Because the role is, for example, supposing you're playing the role of a person who is downtrodden, who's begging. The person says, I think I'm playing a very good role. Very clear. But assume for a minute that the actor drinks a little bit too much. And almost like forgets, this is what happens on alcohol and so on, you forget your own personality. So one can postulate this. It's very possible that a person who starts to play a role forgets who he is. Then he'll have a problem. There's the role calls for someone to slap you, and if he forgets who he is, he says, don't slap me. He says, but that's part of the role. He says, I don't care, just do not touch me, okay? Problem. And so here's the thing. This is what these two, I'm just focusing on these 2 or 3 verses. So here, what we find is that I find that I have a personality. And my personality has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. In fact, let me bring another example to this, which is really an important example. You take the case of an electric appliance. Electric appliance. Let's say a fan. Take the example of a fan. There you have 2 entities. One is electricity. The other one is the fan mechanism. Okay? Now, it's very possible that if the fan is working nicely, doing its job, and it's cooling you, you don't make that distinction. Because the combination of the electricity and its expression as a fan is what you're enjoying. But suppose for an instance, the electricity is off. Then the distinction comes in. Because sometimes, supposing you walk in and you find that the fan is not working, immediately you start looking for a switch. And there's 2 or 3 switches in the room. And when those of us from India, we are very familiar with this. I just came from my sister's place in New Delhi in end of February, early March. It was starting to get warm already. And really, there was a real case. So my wife and I were both resting on the bed. It was very warm. And so we thought we'll put the fan on. And so there's like 10 switches. And we don't know which one to put on and so on and so forth. So finally we hit one and the fan starts moving. But supposing you hit all the 10 switches and the fan still doesn't move, you say, aha, the electricity, the power is off. So when that happens, you make a distinction between electricity and the appliance, clearly. So this is an important example. In fact, we can even do some meditation today itself. We will do that. What you find is that the appliance runs with the help of the electricity. It cannot run without the electricity. But the electricity can run without the appliance. It may be that the electricity cannot express itself in the way you look at it without the appliance. That's a different thing. But the electricity can work in a fan as well as a heater, as well as an air conditioner, as well as a refrigerator, as well as a vacuum cleaner. All different appliances. And it runs through each one of them without being affected by the appliance. The same thing is true in the case of the human being. We really have the Sakshi as the electricity, equivalent to electricity. And we have the personality of a person like that of an appliance. It is reflecting the appliance, reflecting the electricity, but very different from it. So like to actually, it might be good. Let's do some. Let's do a meditation on this. Even though we haven't really finished the introduction to meditation, we'll do that some other time. But let's just do a kind of like a quick meditation on this. So if you could just please sit on you with your hands in your lap, the back relatively straight, and touching the back of the chair but not leaning back on it. Be aware of the touch of the body with respect to the chair, your feet resting on the ground, your hands clasping each other. Be aware of the sensation of touch. Be aware of the sensation of touch in your eyebrows. Disengage them ever so slightly. Let the light come in just for a second and then close again very gently. Do this again. Just open your eyes just a sliver. And then shut it gently. See that your body, your sense organs, and your mind, your thoughts, are like an appliance, a very sophisticated appliance. An appliance where the combination of the hardware of your body and the software of your mind interact along with the sense organs and the organs of action. This appliance can talk, can listen, can process sounds, can see, can sit or move, has a mind that thinks, evaluates, makes conclusions, an appliance which breathes, which appears to live, which gets hungry and eats and drinks, sustains itself, keeps going. All these kinds of manifestations. And this appliance of the body, mind, and indriyas, the various sense organs, are powered by myself, a conscious entity. A conscious entity which is independent of the body-mind complex. The Sakshi like the electricity in an appliance is not a product or quality of the body-mind complex. It is not limited to the boundary of the body-mind complex. At least in the example of the electricity in the appliance, the electricity also has some form. It has to be routed, has some particular aspects. Here, the Atma, the Sakshi, is present throughout. It is not as though it has to be wired in. It is natural to the creation. All pervasive, ever present, unchanging. The person, like a person, is in all aspects of the personality. The personality, the role, depends on the person. It starts with the person and ends with the person. But the person is independent of the personality. So the case with me. I am an independent vastu, entity. That is not dependent on my thoughts, my sense organs. On the contrary, my thoughts depend on me. My sense organs depend on me. My body depends on me. It is run by me. Like an appliance is run by the electricity. If the appliance were to break down, nothing happens to the electricity. It just has to be repaired for it to express the electricity again. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this vision, this view is what is being presented in verse number 27 and 28. So in the first line he says, Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha. And also we should see 27 and 28 as a unit. Guna guneshu vartante iti matvana sajjate. So the gunas means the expression of the Atma. In other words, the personality of the person. And that happens, it's just going on. There's things happening. There's sadness, triumphs, disappointments, and accidents. All kinds of things are happening. So this is all guna guneshu vartante. They are just, they are nothing but the expressions of the Maya Shakti. So prakritehi kriyamanani gunaihi. So here prakritehi here means the Maya Shakti or the karana. Karana means the cause. And gunaihi is the karya. So karya karana bhavaha. All depends upon the various movements, the various events, and so on and so forth. Those are going to go on. But when you become not only involved with it, it's okay to get involved with it, but when you impute a wrong understanding on yourself, this is where the problems occur. So, ahankara vimudhatma. So the ahankara means the I thought, this is me, is also a guna. It is also a guna. It is also a prakritehe guna. In other words, this is also a person. It is part of the personality, not part of the person. Your self-assessment that this is who I am. I am 60 years old. And I'm doing this. This is also a thought. And you have some software which is stored in your computer, and you recall it. And then you conclude based on the recollection of that data from the computer that this is who I am. This is what happens when a person is, supposing you've had a concussion. This happens in these football and baseball and other people when they have a severe injury to the head. There is a concussion. And in the concussion, your brains become injured. They have a very, very severe trauma to the brain. And you appear to lose consciousness for a while. And then your bell is rung and you're just walking. So what happens is nowadays they do it as part of the football process where the doctor, because before that they would bring the guy back because there's so much money involved. And he says, go back here, I don't care what you do. Just now they don't do it anymore. So they'll say, okay, answer the following questions. Who are you? And if the person can't say, then means that, okay, you just lie down. We won't even talk to you. But if the person says, let's see, I am, then you give at least a name. But then you don't understand. What's the name of your children? Children, I don't know. That just means that your software is not working. Your consciousness is still there, but the appliance is semi-broken. But what happens is that when I'm fully functional, then my idea of who I am is fully embraced by everybody that I know. I am the husband of such and such person. I am the father of such and such person. And I'm so many years old, and so on and so forth. So your definition of yourself is based on the gunaha, prakriteir gunaha, which is software. It is data presented in your brain. It has nothing to do with the electricity that you are. So Lord Krishna says, listen, as long as you keep doing this, you are a fool. So Vimudhatma. Vimudhatma means, Swami Dayananda used to, he would use the word idiot. And we all used to wince and say, who are you calling idiots? And so he would be looking like this and so on and so on. Not you, but really you. Each one of us that appears to be a karta, bhokta, is really an idiot. Vimudha Atma means it is completely, what is the deluded by ahankara. So this is kind of a nice word. Deluded means, it's okay, deluded. But if he says you are like an idiot, then something should happen. That's why Swami Dayananda used to have such a strong word. Hey, wake up from it. I think Swami Chinmayananda used to give this example, that supposing there is a child who's having a nightmare, and the mother is sitting next to the child, and the child says, help me, this tiger is attacking me. So the mom says, hey, there's no tiger, just wake up. No, it's attacking me. Then the mom says, oh no, poor thing, he's got fever and all kinds of things, he'll be okay. But the vision of the child has to be corrected. Swami Chinmayananda gives a beautiful example. He says that, and these are real examples. So in the time of Holi, these college kids, you think that this marijuana is local? We've had marijuana for thousands of years. So I never had one, but apparently in the college, you would drink this liquid, which would, make you weird. And so in the time of Holi, there was a guy from a small village. He'd never had marijuana there before, bhang. But when he came to college, all his friends said, hey, you've got to have bhang. How do you not have bhang? So he says, I don't know what it is. He says, just drink it, don't worry about it. Pretty soon, he got absolutely blown out of his mind. He says, oh, what's happening to me? I can't believe. So the friend says, no, it'll be okay. Just have a little bit more also. Pretty soon, this guy was going crazy. He says, I want to go home. I want to go home. Finally, they got scared, so they called his father and mother, and he says, I'm very sorry. This is what has happened. Can you please come and take him home? So his mom and dad came, put in the back of the car. They took him home. And now he's lying on the bed, and he's saying, I want to go home. So father says, you are home. You are home. He says, no, I want to go home. I don't know. It just means that home for that person was a nice control over his mind. And this is not home. This is not home. And so exactly the same situation is there. We are actually at home, but we are really feeling I'm not at home. And Swami Chinmayananda used to punctuate this by saying, this is why you should say Hari Om. It means hurry home. Hurry back to home. I still remember his lectures on that. And so this is the situation. We insist on saying, I'm not well. I'm not well. Kartaramiti mudhatma. Then finally, what can you say? You can say, okay, I know you're blabbering, but you are actually not the karta and the bhokta. And so this is an example which is well quoted in the Shastra, that the Maya Shakti is like marijuana. Exactly like some drug that has made us crazy. That doesn't mean that it has any permanent effect, but we have to wear off the effect of ignorance. And if we do, then verse number 28 comes in. Tattva vittu mahabaho, hey mahabaho, hey the person with long arms. In the annals of Shastra, a person who has long hands, and the length of the hand depends on if you're standing straight. We can all do that after the class, don't do that right now. But if you're standing straight, see how far your hands project up to your legs. If they touch your knees, you can be called Mahabaho. You can be called Mahabaho. And Arjuna apparently was, and in fact, it's interesting, you see some of these football players, because I read some of the stuff. So what happens is that the quarterbacks need to have very big hands. Because this football, have you ever tried to grasp a football? It is so strange, heavy, and so big. You can't even, I can't even throw it like 20 feet. But these guys, their hands are so, and sometimes they say that even the bodies are not that big. They may be just like a 6-footer. But their hands, like this Kevin Durant, his shoe size is 19. Can you believe it? 19. I just read this. So these very essentially means very powerful, big people. So he says that Mahe Mahabaho. He says, however, Tattvavit. Tattvavit means Viveki. Viveki means one who is able to make a distinction between actor and a role. Actor and a role. When I talk about that, I always think about this one example, which I think I read somewhere. No, I don't remember Swami Dayanandji giving me this example, but it is very, very good example. I've always used it. So the example is, that, and I may have said this to you, forgive me if this is a repetition. The example is that there was a woman who was an actor. In my growing up, we used to call actresses and actors. But now that everybody is an actor. And there's no, the word actresses has gone away. Anyway, so I'm also now learning. So she's an actor. So she's acting in a play where she gets abused by her husband. This is the play. And she's got 2 young children. One who is 3 years old and the other one who is, say, 7 or 8 years old. This is the examination of the example. Okay? So normally when she goes for her acting, she leaves her children home. But this one day her babysitter was sick. So she took both the children and went to it. The 8-year-old had some homework to do, and so that child had some, and so on and so forth, quizzes and so on. The 3-year-old just had some dolls to play and nothing much to do. So the mother told them, listen, you guys stay on the back side of the stage, and I am going to be very busy for the next 2 hours with this play. And the play has some weird stuff, so don't worry about it. Just don't even think about it or anything like that. But is that okay? So the kids said, yeah, we're okay. We'll, give a lollipop, and they're just happy. Then the scene starts, and the husband and wife had an argument, and the husband starts beating her up. Big slaps, this, that, or the other, and so on and so forth. So these 2 kids are looking up, and this 3-year-old says, oh my God, what is happening to my mom? Why is this guy hitting my mom? So she rushes up to the stage and says, Mom, why is he doing that? So her older sister, 8-year-old sister says, no, don't go there. What are you talking about? Just come back here. And the child says, what coming back? And so the curtain drops. And the producer and all they say, what is happening? What are your children? They're spoiling our whole thing. She says, I told them to sit there. What can I do? All this. All because of the 3-year-old cannot have the viveka between the role and the actor. It mixed up together. This is just a, what distinction? The older child was saying, hey, your mom is just acting. She doesn't understand what acting means. What do you mean by acting? My mom's getting abused and I don't like it. That's all I care about. But the 8-year-old has the viveka. She also doesn't like her mother being slapped around. The mother makes a lot of money. For a while, she just gets her cheek red and so on. But afterwards, she says, okay, where's my $1,500? So everybody is happy, should be happy. But the 3-year-old is not happy. Very similar to is the case. As far as us is concerned, we are not at all sure about what is you talking about kartaram, bhokta and sakshi. I don't understand what is all this. This is me. Things are happening to me and I don't like it. And Ishvara says, yep, it's going to take a little while. You have to grow up a little bit. Then when you do that, you make a distinction. See, the other thing is that this is the way things are. Just accept it. What is it they say? What cannot be cured must be endured. That's not the case here. Yes, there is a transition period where, see, in the case of these 2 children also, it's a good example, that's why I like it. The distinction between acting and role will not happen in just one talk. There has to be some demonstration. This 3-year-old will be told, listen, you see this guy who was beating her up? Sees how friendly he is? If he is really a bad person, then he would never become friendly. But don't you see that he was just acting? Acting? What acting? I don't understand. But why is he beating her up? I said, okay, it's okay. It's all right. So there's a lot of discussions that have to take place to make this person understand. And then by the time you're 8 or 9, you may wince a little bit and says, why doesn't she get a better role than that? That's okay. But she still does her homework and nothing really interrupts her forever or anything like that. That's our situation. So he says that once you understand the distinction, then the effect of the Maya Shakti will be gone. So that's what he says, Tattva Vittu Mahabaho Guna Karma Vibhaga Yoho Guna Guneshu Vartante Iti Matvana Sajjate. Means that I am not bound by that at all. Let these roles happen. What has that got to do with me? I'm the electricity. If there is a malfunctioning appliance, let it malfunction. What has I got to do with me? This is these are very important 2 verses. This is often quoted. Tattva Vittu Mahabaho Guna Karma Vibhaga Yoho Guna Guneshu Vartante. And then I'll just briefly go over number 29, which is not exactly as relevant as 27 and 28 are, but has a derivative to it. And then in verse number 30, he summarizes the attitude of Karma Yoga very well. That we will do next week. But number 29, Prakritehe guna sammudhaha sajjante guna karmasu Tan akritsna vida mandan kritsna vitna vichalayet. So I'll just do the English translation. Those who are deluded or blinded or made foolish, looking foolish by the personality, the gunas of Prakriti, get attached to the actions of the organs. And in the example of the one he says that they immediately rush onto the stage and try to save their mother. Similarly here also, I don't like being put into some dukkha, and I immediately redress it. If somebody says something to me, I want to get back to it, reaction right away. I don't accept it. I can't say, oh yeah, I'm just the sakshi. You call me a fool and so on. It doesn't bother to me. No. You call me a fool and I'm going to give you an equal response to that. So he says, get attached to the organs of the action. And then he says, again, remember this is a continuation of the thing that how should the jnani act? There is still some remnants of that. A jnani should act in the society by not changing people's attitudes right away. For example, in the same example of the 3-year-old and the 8-year-old, you try to reason with the 3-year-old by saying it'll be okay. But you don't give her, she won't understand. So the best thing is to let her just cry. And later on, and we'll say that it was okay, it's all right, don't worry about it, we have it under control, don't worry about it. But don't try to start teaching her because she's incapable of learning at this age. So similarly here also in number 29 he says that a man of complete knowledge should not unsettle those people of incomplete knowledge. Don't try to say you're all foolish. Don't you see what you're missing? This, that, or that. No. Because as we saw earlier, the example was that if the fruit is not yet ripe, Don't try to disengage it. Let it ripen. You should feel happy that you are ripe and test your ripeness with the others. And don't criticize anybody else. Just look at yourself to see, is your knowledge complete? Is it clear? If not, then deal with those things. So anyway, so that's verse number 29, and with that we finish that. And number 30 is the culmination of Karma Yoga. Perhaps I might be able to finish all. No, I don't think so. I want to spend a couple of more weeks on the Karma Yoga. Yeah, I think there's more than that. So anyway, we're just doing revisions, which is supposed to be just a day or so, but a lot of new people had come in, so I thought I'd spend some more time on it. Okay, so I'll stop now and take some questions. Let's say a prayer. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Yes.
It says Guna Guneshu Vartante Iti Mattana Sajjate and Prakite Manani. But how are the gunas acting with each other? It is
So they're acting each other with the help of the Atma. So, so for example, in the example that we took for the electricity in the appliance, there may be that there are malfunctions in the appliance. So there may be some sputtering, there may be some sounds coming, and so on and so forth. And maybe one part of the appliance is affecting another part of the appliance. So there's a lot going on there in terms of the smooth functioning of the appliance. And the electricity is still on. If the appliance completely breaks down, then it won't be able to reflect electricity at all. But suppose that the electricity is still on and the appliance is malfunctioning, then even while it is malfunctioning with each other, due to some, so the Guna Guneshu Vartante has some cause and effect relationships. So there's some cause for it, that somehow it is worn out. Like for example, sometimes you have these bulbs that before they they burn out, they flicker a little bit. Then you say, uh-oh, this is going, So that's like a Guna Guneshu Vartante. There is a cause and an effect, and that effect may modify the cause of, so there is some interaction between them. That's all that it means.
I wanted to know, Guna is a quality that Rajagun, Tamagun.
Correct.
So how are they going into action, making you do everything?
So the thing is that if you...
These gunas means qualities
right.
of state of mind or whatever you might say. How are they doing all these actions?
With your help. You see, that's the thing. This we will spend more time on, but generally you give your reality and your power to them. They don't have the ability to act on its own. And the moment you withdraw your support to it, they will wither away. So, but again, because of lack of viveka, you are not ready to say, I withdraw my support to it. You're not ready to do that. So, you're still involved with the artificial aspects of the personality until it drags you worse and worse and worse, or something happens, and then finally you say, enough. I am not getting involved with this.
But gunas are avyakta. They are not bhutas, like, elements, and those are material.
So they're both. As cause they are avyakta, as affects they are vyaktas. They're both. Yeah, they're both. They cross the boundary between. That's why they say karana karya. Both of them are there. Yeah. So for example, the mind, this is interesting that you bring that up. If you look at the mind does not have any rupa, any rasa. It doesn't have a weight. It doesn't have any smell. It doesn't have any form. All of that. And yet, you cannot say, so if you were to say that the only things that I find real are the ones that have some shape, and so on and so forth, but the mind doesn't have any shape, doesn't have any, but it is very much there as a karana. So your ichha shakti, your desires, your regrets, your vasanas, all of these, even though they do not have a form, they have an ability to create form as a karana. So that's what is called karya. That's also guna. That's also a guna. Because the mind can be sattvic and could be rajasic, could be tamasic. So even though it doesn't have a form, but it has the ability of those gunas in it already. Yeah, something like that. Yes?
Last week, you said the Atma is the most subtle thing.
Yeah.
The which is space, and then you gave examples of space is not empty and it has all these invisible things.
Yes.
That are the electromagnetism. Can you expand on more on the Atma, please?
So the Atma is the subtlest because it has the ability without being tied to it. A very interesting thing. So for example, I will start with the example of a dream. In the dream, you are sleeping in a dark room and there is no light anywhere, but you see a sun. Where does that come from? Where does the light of the sun come from? There's no light. The sun is not there. It comes from the Atma. It comes from the Atma. It comes from your own self. So similarly here also, the Atma, as we see in the Jagrata Avastha, in reality there is no sun, no people, no nothing. It's all in the Atma. As Satchidananda, it has the ability to do anything it wants to. And it's only when you get involved with it in a false way, then you suffer. Like in the case of a dream, if you have a nightmare, then you suffer. But really speaking, there's no reality to the dream. So similarly here also in the Jagrata Avastha, which is what we are going to be taking up in more detail in the Mandukya Upanishad and others also, there we find that the Jagrata Avastha eventually has no reality. But I have to understand it. I have to see how that is the case. You cannot just tell me and I will accept it. No. My mind has to be fully convinced. And so when that happens, the subtlety of the Atma is that even though it does not have a permanent form to it, but it can create a form as though there is a form, like in the case of a dream. So similarly here also, the Akasha has all these, it does a lot. I mean, it took me a long time to really understand how, because I used to have exactly the same, not exactly the same, but I used to feel that, how can Akasha? Do you know, the fact is that the Prithvi, which is a solid material, is nothing but an expression of Akasha. It's like, just like, for example, you have ice which is floating in the water. It is not separate from the water, even though it looks like solid, but it is really nothing but water alone. So I didn't realize this, that really speaking, Akasha has the ability to solidify. It has enough power in it. And it does it through Vayu and through fire and water and so on, one thing after the other. But it's all there in the Akasha.
So the Atma is actually like the Vishwarupa, everything is in it?
It's already in there, absolutely. Now, the Jivatma is not, if you want to talk about a Jivatma, meaning the Atma of a Jiva, that may not be Vishwarupa, because that is the form of the Ishvara. But the essence of the Jiva Rupa, which is independence, Satchidananda and so on, is the same as Vishwarupa Atma, Paramatma. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Prithvi is a part of Akasha.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It is nothing but the power, solidified power of, it's not part of it, but it is the manifestation of, so this is what we studied in Taittiriya Upanishad. Tasmad va etasmad akasha sambhabhuva, something like that. So from the Atma comes Akasha, and from Akasha comes Vayu. From the Vayu comes Agni. From Agni comes Jalam, Apaha, and from Apa comes Prithvi. And so there's just solidifying. It's just like saying if you were to analyze the contents of a dream, and you were to say, how does a dream take place? Then you can say the Atma of the dream slowly solidifies into, and of course not slowly, it just happens all of a sudden. There you create Surya, light, sounds, people, all kinds of things. And it all appears, my goodness, this is just amazing. And then all of a sudden it just goes away. So similarly, Atma is the Akasha is nothing but a solidified form of Atma. And Prithvi is nothing but a solidified form of Akasha, yeah.
Prithvi is just the earth.
Any solid material ultimately is nothing but Akasha, which is nothing but Atma. Everything is Atma alone. Yeah. Yeah.
You said that it's a manifestation of something, planets or whatever. Whose manifestation is it? Because this is all a manifestation of human being. Like somebody, thought of ore and they made it out of something. So whose manifestation is?
Well, the human being is also a manifestation of Ishvara. So it's like you create a computer and you ask the computer to do some things. So ultimately it is the manifestation of the person who created the computer, which creates different things. So everything is nothing but by Ishvara alone. There's human beings are not independent of Ishvara. They are also a creation of Ishvara. Yeah.
But doesn't Ishvara need something to express itself?
No, there's no, so it doesn't need anything to express itself because it is both the material as well as the intelligent cause, and there is no creation per se. It's always there in the same form, always there there's no time. That's the way it is, the whole body of as we studied, you were there in the earlier class. So, and it doesn't need anything. It's just that this is the way how things are, that if you don't understand, in other words, there is ajnanam, there is an apparent srishti. If you understand, then the apparentness of the srishti becomes apparent to you. and then there is no Srishti. This is this Nirguna and Saguna Brahma. Yeah. In reality, for example, the waviness of the ocean is an apparent, it's an independent kind of, looks like it's independent, but is nothing but ocean alone. Comes out of the ocean, goes back to the ocean, stays in the ocean. Yeah, something like that. Satish?
Yes, I little at a loss sometimes to throw what we see in the dreams as mithya, no substance to it.
Mm-hmm.
But in a real life drama, it has happened with many people, it happened with me, happened with me, is that when I was in college, my father used to send me money for my college. If he, those days there was no communication, but we have
Correct.
these days, a letter used to be written 10 days ago,
Yeah.
will arrive 10 days after. Then I used to see my dad in my dream. The morning there was to be a letter, and they checked in the letter.
That means you wanted it really bad.
It's very true that it so repeats itself that month after, when I saw him in the dream, I tell my roommate, in the dormitory, there's a letter for me.
Wow.
Can you please take care of it? And it did happen.
There's a good second career waiting for you. Wonderful.
And then other thing is that many times I wake up in the dream with explanation, but that reminded me of some impending danger. Impending danger, I used to take steps. If I have to go out to mountain, I would not go. Well, be quiet and calm like that. That time will pass away.
That's possible. Those things are
real things. We cannot.
those are exceptions to the rule.
Yes.
Yeah. Like for example, there are people who remember their previous lives. You're not supposed to, but it does happen. These are kind of like rare cases where the wiring went wrong. Because otherwise, if the wiring is correct, you're not supposed to know anything.
Well, how do you know they're not lying? I mean, just, previous life.
No, that's been well established. People, it's been thousands of cases where people were saying, "Hey, where are my children?" He's a 5-year-old. He says, "Where are my children?" He says, "What children are you talking about?" And so then they look at it and they take him to a village, and indeed there was same people, and this has been well proven. Absolutely. They're not lying. All right, so we'll see you next week. Thank you.